I'm starting right now. I mean, that's going to be a problem now that I'm no longer in a bathroom chained up somewhere. Is that now that I'm home, there's going to be background noise on my end too.
You know, like, that shitty music that makes you want to die when you go to a party?
I feel like we're going to have two very different versions of that music.
So it's like the music that Drake makes.
I don't think I've ever heard a single Drake song.
Except, like, bad. And he is already making the bad version of that. So, like, you know, the shitty, like rap EDM beats and the 808 drum and the bad auto-tune. It's like that.
Okay. You know what? You know what I get tired of is that fucking...
And then the people who are kind of like constantly mumbling while they rap. So it's like
that goddamn clicking noise that plays. The noise. I hate that. It's so overused.
That's the 808 drum. It's because you can save money by not hiring a drummer and just getting a computer to do it. Except it just sounds like shit.
Welcome to our movie podcast where we talk about how both of us have never heard...
Welcome to our movie podcast!
Well, okay, David has. I suspect David is actually a 14-year-old girl who is just really good at hiding it. Damn, that's the only thing I needed left on this
except
bingo
I don't like
board.
Taylor Swift.
That was all I had left.
Yeah. I like YA novels, or I used to. I like Hunger Games. I'm a huge apologist for Hunger Games. I listen to Kesha and blah 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 blah. But I can't stand Taylor Swift.
I remember you went on this big thing where you were talking about how much you love Lily Allen, right?
Lily Allen I have mixed opinions about. She's like that girl in high school that's like always brutally honest, but she's also kind of a dick about it. So she has a song where she just makes fun of a perfectly good boyfriend for being bad in bed. And she's kind of an asshole, but but there's a place in the world for assholes who are honest about it. They keep the rest of us on our toes and make sure we know what the hell's out. They don't flatter anybody. They don't suffer fools, and I think that there's a place for that. But in terms of her actual music, I'm very mixed on it. I like Fuck You like the next person does, but I'm just 6 out of 10 on her, honestly.
Do you remember that song where she was talking about 9/11 and asking if God was just drunk that day?
No.
That's a thing.
I wrote a script about a music artist, Robin, and about her song "Dancing on My Own" is overused. Probably talked about it on the podcast before.
Yeah, I saw that video.
She's got a new album out. Robin's got her new first new solo album in 6 years or 8 years. Yeah, 8 years because the last one came out in 2010.
Does that mean that...
Isn't it weird to think that 2010 is 8 years ago?
Yeah, it is. 2010 sounds so fucking... It's not that long ago. I can't accept it.
X-Men First Class was in theaters.
Oh,
Robin's
God.
Body Talk was her latest album. What other things were out in 2010?
I'm trying to think of a celebrity who came out as gay that year, but I can't finish the joke because I honestly can't think of any.
You.
Fuck. What? No.
I just called you gay. Are you not going to defend your masculine honor?
I mean, everyone knows what my girlfriend looks like.
Exactly. You're a flaming homo.
Okay. Alright, fair enough.
My girlfriend who lives in Canada. I was referencing a song from Avenue Q where this guy sings about how he totally has a girlfriend. She just lives in Canada. And, you know, I can't wait for you to see her. But she lives in Canada. So she's really far away. And I can't wait to eat her pussy again. So, yeah.
I can't believe we now have an isolated sound. We have an isolated sound clip of you saying that sentence.
I called you gay by referencing a Broadway musical. So that's how homosexual you are.
I can't tell if this has turned offensive or not.
Good.
Okay, well, anyway.
Anyway, seen any good movies lately?
No. I think I saw a movie in theaters, but then I forgot what it was. Wait, I saw Halloween.
The new one?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I thought it was pretty good.
Okay, well, anyway, that happened.
I mean, should we talk about it at all?
I don't want to talk too much about it, because I saw the first one, and nothing else, so, like, the original one, the original Halloween, and I loved it. Yeah. Just watch that, it's wonderful.
I will say that, I think the new one is a worthy sequel. However, you know what else is a worthy sequel to Halloween?
Halloween 2?
Halloween 2 and H2O are both great in their own ways. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't like this idea of, let's pretend all those other sequels didn't happen. Those were garbage. This is our new timeline. But, like, some of those were pretty good.
It's so much easier
you can
to
do that with the Alien franchise.
When you don't have to think about all of that stuff that you're following.
I know. But, like, I feel like that fits better with the Alien franchise, where literally no one ever liked any idea after Alien 2, or rather Aliens, but I'm using that just as a clarification. But anyway, after the second one, they did like
also, audience, I'm really sorry
for
that
other movies.
Music, but
I can't hear any music.
The audience will hear it, and if they don't, well, whatever. I guess I'm just the one being tortured then.
Just put elevator music over it so that it drowns it out. I was so tempted to put that elevator music into the back of our... You know what? I just, at the end of the day, I thought, would David do it? And then I thought, no.
Well, I would have done it, but I was too lazy. So, anyway, I'm not listening to that right now. I'm listening to the Mission Impossible Fallout score, which is pretty good.
Does it just have, like, the sounds of Tom Cruise's bones breaking in the background of every song? Dun 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 dun! Ah!
That was just, like, one scene, and it was also the easiest scene. It was like...
Do you remember that? Which one was the one where he's, like, running on some kind of overpass, and then like a missile drops on the top of the road, and it like the force of it throws him into the side of a car and smashes the window? I think in the third one they said that they did that take like 7 times because he wasn't happy with it. Even though they nailed it and it looked great on the first try, he was like, it didn't look painful enough. So he kept throwing himself into this, like, just getting into this full sprint, and then throwing himself into this car at, like, his, like, whole strength. Every time, while there's, like, a massive explosion going behind him. And then, like, around the 7th take, he's like, yeah, that finally works. And it's like, are you okay? You look like you got really fucking hurt. And he's like, yeah, that's the point.
Well, he learned to fly helicopters for Mission Impossible Fallout. Have you seen it?
No, not yet.
See it. It's a lot of fun.
I saw the last one with you.
What?
I saw the one
the
with
previous
the toilet
one, Rogue Nation. Yeah, I remember seeing it with you.
Where there's a giant industrial toilet that has a vault underneath of it. And then
that was the coolant for like a power plant. And
he gets flushed down the toilet.
Yeah. And that was a one-take shot, but whatever.
And then they fucked it up in editing because they couldn't figure out how to express what else was going on in the scene.
It wasn't in editing. That's at the script stage.
Ah, okay. So then why film it as one shot?
Well, why not?
All right.
Let's be. I think Fallout, Mission Impossible Fallout, compared to Rogue Nation, it looks better. It's got a better visual aesthetic. It's got a better score. It has much better action, and some of the characters are cool. Like Henry Cavill is actually like good in it. Imagine that. But
Oh my
the
God.
story's not quite as well written. It's more of like an excuse to wrap action scenes around than the sort of fun whodunit, who's on whose side thing that was in Rogue Nation.
So I have a question for you.
What?
Do you think The Witcher is going to be terrible? The show?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it's kind of the rule for video game adaptations, but I'm hoping that they'll surprise us.
Well, it's technically a book adaptation because they're adapting it from the books, which is what the game was also adapted from.
I did not know this. I've never played any of the
What?
Witcher games, so I didn't know that.
The Witcher games are based upon a series of books by a Polish author.
Does this Polish author know that they made a super kick-ass game franchise based on his series, and what did you think of that?
Well, he gave them the rights to do it, so I think so.
Nah,
I
you
don't
know what?
know-
Sometimes there's like weird shit that happens. It's just like, oh, they're making a movie based on it. Since when?
It's called copyright law.
Yeah, I think I heard. I can't remember what it was, but I do remember there was some book once that was getting adapted to a movie because like the publisher screwed over the writer and managed to take all the rights for it, and then didn't let him know.
Well, that usually, well, that's not the case.
No,
with The
I know
Witcher,
it's
but-
not. It's not supposed to happen all the time.
But here's the thing: The Witcher is going to suck, the Netflix TV show, because Henry Cavill looks like shit.
I mean, given
He
the
looks
character
like Fabio
design,
if they dyed his hair gray. It looks like garbage.
I'm trying to think of like how that character design could look good in live action, and my only
He needs to look more weathered and grizzled.
well, I was just
Look
thinking
less like a male model.
have an actual guy with gray hair, like what? Or maybe he's supposed to look.
Hire Liam Neeson for it. Wouldn't that be cool?
Well, okay. I think the problem is that Geralt or whatever his name is
Geralt.
supposed to be young but have white hair anyway, so
Well,
they
yeah,
can't
but
hire an old ass
also-
man.
But also, in the game, he's this sort of like grizzled middle-aged guy, but they're doing a younger version than they have in the video games. He looks too much like a supermodel. They need to give him like some scars or something. To give him
Yeah,
a
I
bit more
remember
of
in
that
the game
grizzled
he
look.
had tons of scars, and then I was like, where are they? Does he just not get them yet in the story? Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
His face just looks too
He's
smooth.
too pretty.
It's like they put a big gloss of CGI over his head. Oh.
They wouldn't do that.
Thank
to
you,
Henry
person in
Cavill.
David's dorm who laughed at my joke. I appreciate you.
I'm not staying in the dorm. I'm staying in an apartment.
Oh. I don't even know what the hell's going on with your living situation anymore.
Well, Halloween this past Wednesday, my roommate got super trashed on alcohol, went out partying, and then came back with a lady friend. And then I went to bed, and then he came in with his lady friend, and they just slept on the top bunk. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Did they you know?
No, they just laid there. But it was
Oh,
still
thank
super
God.
awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this time, I'm just gonna fucking lock him out of the door. Lock him out of my dorm.
Go get your Mac on somewhere else, bro. I don't want to be in the same room as it. I don't want to be within, like, a few feet of your dick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the benefits of my college being, like, an hour drive away from where I live. I don't have to go into, like, some other housing. I can just stay here.
Hey man, my brother goes to college 15 minutes from my house, and he still doesn't stay at home. So
Huh. That's actually kind of weird to be in a dorm that's, like, 15 minutes away. Like, you could theoretically walk to like, see your parents if you live that close.
It'd be kind of hard to walk from where he is to where my house is, because they're like
It's just like A
They're
lot
in
of
different
highways?
cities.
Oh, okay.
I mean, because, like, we live kind of on the edge of town, so we're right next to the highways, so we can just hop on the highway and be there in 10 minutes. I'm not going to say where it is, but I'm pretty sure Xavier's been there before.
Yeah, I have. You know, it's occurred to me how scary and crazy the internet is when it comes to tracking down people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some people in the comments of my video where I went to go get the Spider-Man PS4 copy were saying that even though they can't see shit in the background of my my video except for like mountains and fields, they could still probably triangulate the location I was driving in anyway. And I was like, that gives me so much anxiety. Because, like, I thought they were full of shit at first, but then I remembered that there was do you remember when Shia LaBeouf set up his, like, protest live stream where he just points a camera at nothing in the middle of LA, and then everyone kept messing with it? So he set up another one out in the middle of a field somewhere, and then, like, a bunch of internet detectives used, like, fucking star charts for when it was filming at night, or, like, figuring out, like, the exact distance from a certain mountain range, and then found it anyway, even though it's just in a field pointing up at the sky, and then they found it and then messed with it anyway. I don't think anyone cares that much about finding where I live, but at the same time, I do worry. You know?
Just you know, be careful about it.
Yeah, you said it, brother.
I'd like to imagine that your fans aren't assholes, so they might not do that to you, but who knows?
I know a good chunk of them aren't.
I mean,
like a pretty decent
I can think
amount.
of a certain person who was inspired by your turkey sandwiches, so...
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
Hey, we gotta finish editing
what?
that. We gotta finish editing that.
Yeah, you need to... I need your help to finish editing my turkey sandwiches.
Did you ever send me over, like, your
did.
part of it? Okay, so you need me to do just sound mixing?
I sent you the, So I sent you the my voiceover of that. I still need to record the voiceover for, you. And I also sent you the shots for the green screen in case you think you can figure out a better way to do it than I did.
Now, here's the thing, is I was going to say, I don't feel like dubbing all of the vocal audio because that's going to take forever.
Well, if you think...
So, I was willing to do all the
What?
other sounds. I told you while we were filming it, I was like, I don't know if I can I can dub all the audio, like, if we're going to ADR this. I don't know if I can do that really effectively.
Honestly, I think if it's just too much work, then you can just say fuck it and just edit anything that you think needs improvement.
I mean, I've got the free time now, man. I don't have that other thing going on.
I will leave it up to your discretion to choose what to keep and what to not, what to edit and what to not, because I know there are some parts that definitely need it, especially the shots that have like rapid cuts.
I'll figure something out for you. I think the green screen shot will be really fun to work on.
Plus, I have absolutely no artistic energy to work on that project anymore, so I will defer to whatever you have the time for.
It does suck when you're like in full swing on a project. And
I don't know what it is, but that project, making that project just... Well, I mean, for the listeners, it's the X-Men Origins Wolverine review. Making that drained me. Maybe it was just that summer was just absolutely
because
shitty.
The subject matter?
But, like, just making it in general was hard. I mean, it's also really personal. Kind of, in a way.
I suppose I know what you mean.
So, anyway...
Yeah, sometimes you get that one project and you're just like, oh, God.
And then I just need...
Why do I have to do this?
That's all you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, I'll help you out, buddy.
So anyway, did you see the new Folding Ideas video? I thought that was really good. The one about Annihilation.
Yeah, I did too. That was good. Yeah. Where he was just kind of talking about how all the ending explain videos.
I loved that video because I had a very personal experience with that sort of thing. You know, Annihilation, the Natalie Portman movie that came out in 2018, but you forgot about it because the studio had no faith in it and just dropped it to Netflix after like 2 weeks in theaters.
I actually watched that video, or I watched that movie the first day Anna and I started dating, actually. So I
saw that movie in theaters opening weekend with my family. And my family, especially my dad's side of the family, are very scientific. They're computer scientists, electrical engineers, you know, biologists, that sort of thing, right? So, my aunt, who is a huge cinephile, by the way, we watched that movie. We come out of the theater, my aunt says, "That's not the way mutation works. That's not the way it works. What the fuck? Seriously, that's not the point." It's like walking into an X-Men movie and saying, how is it that a mutation would allow somebody to move things with their mind? It's like, dude, it's called the premise of the
suspension
movie.
Of disbelief, you spaz.
It's what this movie is about. It's a fantasy world, accept it. And I think that if you will allow me to get slightly political for a second, I feel that there's this attitude amongst like the educators and the people who push for education, is that there's this sort of, because STEM is what you're earning careers in these days, computers, engineering, and all that. Because of that, educators push science, technology, and over everything in education. And because of that, kids aren't really, like, especially kids who go into STEM, because that's what they like, they don't learn how to think about, like, art and the humanities, and to be politically aware, even, because that's not part of what they decide is their educational framework. And I really don't like that. Because that's what leads to stuff like Ending Explained, where, assholes who like movies but don't understand them think that they can criticize them. And then they have this very literal mindset about movies, and I hate that. Okay, rant over.
I agree.
Do you have anything to add to this discussion?
I guess it is just kind of funny how, one of my favorite movies is The Thing, and that has a very ambiguous ending. And people hate that. They just cannot live with themselves if there's anything that doesn't go explained in a movie. Like, they need answers. I think just beyond, like, the science community or people into that stuff, there's just, like, people who just don't know how to watch movies that don't explain everything for you.
Well, but my point is that science people often don't know how to watch movies because they don't learn that.
Because they just go, I need an explanation for everything.
Exactly. People who are engineers, people who are scientists, have a very logical, methodical way of looking at things. And if you apply that to movies, it's bad. And they never learn how to think about things any other way because they have the STEM education.
So what you're saying is we should mix the teaching of art and science together to make everyone less of a pretentious douchebag.
Exactly.
All right, I'm down.
Exactly.
I'll donate $5 to whatever that is.
Wouldn't it be really cool if you had if people had to write essays about movies in English class instead of writing about the great American novel? Because I'm willing to bet there's a movie or two that would have the amount of symbolism and metaphor that The Great Gatsby has. I love The Great Gatsby, but I think that people...
I think The Great Gatsby is trash.
People learn to look at books as something of artistic value because we teach them in our schools. But we don't teach that movies are something of artistic value in our schools. So... unless you're like you or I, who actively go out of our way to watch movies that are interesting and different and unique, then a lot of people will learn to see movies just as something to be consumed like an order of French fries or, a bucket of KFC. That's all it is.
You're making me sad right now because I haven't eaten today.
I'm sorry.
I want food. Not KFC though. KFC is the worst.
Just wait until you get that sweet AdSense revenue.
You know what? I want to be sponsored by Popeyes because their chicken is not too greasy. They're like the only fucking fried chicken restaurant in all of the world that doesn't just soak the chicken like top to bottom in nothing but grease.
Hot take, fried chicken is bad.
It's just more of a fried take, David. Whoa! Anyway.
Serving up the hot takes here.
The fried take. Kentucky Fried Takes. Because they're
I have a semi-serious
too
question
hot for the
here.
grill.
I made a joke on Twitter about Teeth being a good date movie. Is it?
Yeah. Oh God, no! I don't want to watch that movie with. I mean, I watched that movie with my girlfriend once, and I just remember her giggling the entire time and me wincing in fear.
As it should.
She just doesn't have that same level of like gross out.
Well, I feel like
to it that like a dude does.
You know what?
So she was just yucking it up, having a great time, and I was just like, "Oh God, no!"
Something about teeth.
What?
Do you want to know?
It's a bad movie?
The writer-director of Teeth is a gay man. That makes so much sense.
It does. It's a movie that just kind of ultimately goes to the point of all men are pigs, bite their dicks off. That's the message.
Hey, a gay man would have a lot of experience with that. Do you want to know what's on Amazon Prime now? Child's Play.
I fucking love Child's Play. Have you ever seen it? You should. It's really good.
Sounds like a couch potatoes to me. Perhaps.
I love the whole Child's Play series. You know what? Even though I don't particularly like some of the movies in that franchise, I still don't think there's a bad one. Like, one of them just decides to go into a more comedy direction, and I just like fundamentally disagree with that because I thought the series was more interesting prior to that. But it's still like it's a decent comedy. It's got a really great sense of humor, and it's funny. It still is well made. I just don't like that I didn't want it to be a comedy.
Did you know that
movie,
Brad Dourif played a priest on Babylon 5?
Did you know that Brad Dourif played a guy who could talk with the dead?
No, he played
a
monk in Babylon 5. And he was in my favorite episode of Babylon 5 ever. Do you want me to spoil it for you?
No. Hey, do you know he was also the police sheriff in the Halloween remake by Rob Zombie? Brad Dourif is super cool. If they I feel like it is such a fucking missed opportunity that they didn't cast him as Cletus Cassidy in something. Like, even if he was just doing the voice, his voice, like
instead.
The voice he has as Chucky is what I hear when I see Carnage talking in the comics. I feel like he might be too old for it now, but like 10 years ago in this alternate reality where they made Spider-Man 4, and he could have been Carnage in that would have been great. Not Jim Carrey. What the fuck? Why was everyone going on a whole thing about Jim Carrey's Carnage? Jim Carrey's... Shut up!
Listen, Jim Carrey shouldn't be allowed to wear...
I know it's been 10 years!
Of weird anthropomorphic creatures after the Grinch, so...
Man. Ugh, just... So, I remember I was hearing some kind of weird thing. Oh yeah, there's some weird thing about how like when they're making the live action Cat in the Hat movie, they're having a way harder time than when they made the Grinch.
Mike Myers wasn't as comfortable in the makeup as Jim Carrey was.
Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was like apparently like just so like
well, Jim
into it
Carrey
and
is
fine
basically
with it
a
that
cartoon
he never
character
complained.
in real life. That was his shtick in the 90s. So
Well, he also is like one of those crazy pretentious
he's a very
asshole method
energetic
actors.
performer who knows how to use his body in his comedy routines.
Have you seen the movie Jim and Andy?
But like Mike Myers, he's not as good at his type of comedy is like a funny accent or a weird character, but he doesn't really use his body with it. He's not a physical comedian.
Have you seen? But you should check out that movie Jim and Andy. It's actually really interesting.
I know.
It's a documentary about how fucking crazy he went when he was playing Andy Kaufman. Is like to the point that he was like kind of convinced he was channeling his spirit from the great beyond, and then like met Andy Kaufman's illegitimate daughter so that they could have because he talked to her in character in the costume as Andy Kaufman, and then like was acting it out like he was giving her closure, and she finally got to meet her father. It was just a lot of weird shit.
So I want to ask your opinion of this, because there's the new Grinch movie coming out from, the people behind Minions, right?
I just want it to die.
So they recorded a new version of You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch by Tyler, the Creator. I want your opinion on it.
I've heard like a 30-second clip of it. Maybe less, actually. I don't remember it very well, but I do remember listening to it and going, what? Okay, are you sending it right now?
I've already sent it. Because, like, my first impression of it is, like, no, the original version is perfect, but it's kind of growing on me, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. It makes me feel weird.
It makes me feel bad inside. Let me pull it up. I wish you had sent it through that other thing instead of Messenger, because it's such a pain in the ass to get it there.
But also, Dr. Seuss's The Grinch from Illumination Entertainment is going to be bad, period. Because it does the thing that you should not do with The Grinch, and adds a backstory.
And adds a what?
Backstory. It has to explain why.
Why is he an asshole?
Why is he an asshole? Or why is he, The whole point of the Grinch as a character is that he's just a sourpuss. That's who he is. He doesn't need a reason. You just need to, like, show him, like...
I guess the idea is that because it's a feature-length movie, it's easier to identify with the character.
Well, also, you can't...
If we give him a reason for being an asshole that we can kind of understand.
Well, what if he's just, Well, you need to have... It's like you have to explain why he doesn't like Christmas. Like, in the rules of Christmas movies, you can't not like Christmas. Because, like, and what they do is that they have him, like this backstory where he didn't have Christmas as a kid. It's so stupid. Like...
I mean, the other movies gave him the backstory that he was just some kind of mutant that, like, was a pariah from society because he looked so weird.
And that happened at Christmas or something. It's just dumb. Like, you just need to have him be a sourpuss who just, like...
Learns his lesson.
Who learns his lesson, and, like, just have, like, an opening scene where he just, You could just have him as a character who maybe he just wants to be a little bit more laid back and, like, just gets a little bit... Have, like, a montage of him just, having, like, this little laid back Christmas in his cave, and then show, like, the people down in the city just getting more and more outwardly, like, vivaciously Christmas all the time, and just show him just being, like, a little bit more annoyed by it every year. But then you'd have
until, like, he finally snaps.
But then you'd have the interesting question of... But then you would have the interesting question of whether or not, celebrating Christmas the way we do in our society is a good thing or not. And you can't do that.
Because we make it very commercialized.
Exactly.
And, like...
Because it's not like any classic Christmas specials at all are about... are about what Christmas is about.
No one talks about the materialism of holidays very much.
Well, what I'm talking...
Because they just...
I'm just making it...
They don't, I mean, the whole point is that that's not marketable because it goes hand in hand with the material. It's easier to sell a movie where Christmas is the best thing ever, no matter
well,
how
I'm
you
making
celebrate
a joke
it.
about the Charlie Brown Christmas special because that one is explicitly about the materialism of
You're right.
Christmas.
Well, because Charlie Brown is a very depressing series about a suicidal boy who kills.
He also
everyone
has
at the end.
leukemia.
Is that why? Is that why? That explains so much. Oh god.
So.
Did you see that edit where someone did like the Peanuts reenact the Thing?
No, but my point is that like you can't make an animated version of the Grinch good in today's Hollywood because kids media has been so aggressively commercialized more than practically any other genre with the possible exception of superhero movies. So you can't make something that's against commercialism in a kids movie. It's why The Lorax was such a weird movie to make, because
like the Lorax was
it's
like
explicitly
this
anti-capitalist,
super disgusting
pro-environment story, but
then all of the shit behind the scenes was explicitly not so it was just
brought to you by Mazda.
yeah, right? Let's put all this product placement for these gas chugging cars, and then tell you why we should protect the air. Boy, the open world map in the Incredible Hulk game is just fucking hideous. Actually, everything in this game is hideous. Like, none of the textures want to load on anything unless you're like 2 feet away from it. Also, if you look like down the street, the draw distance is so bad that it just turns into a gray, blurry mess.
Also, since I'm on the Grinch kick, can I talk about how the art design of all Illumination Entertainment movies are just really shitty and lazy?
Oh yeah. This movie just looks like another Minions movie.
Every single Illumination Entertainment movie has the same art design, which is to say, a lot of short things and like really tall things with like really noodly arms, and that's it.
Yeah, gangly, long limbs, and like long
and sometimes
necks.
Really short people and like really big people, and that's it. And also really tall things. Like really tall chairs and really tall ceilings, and it just looks it looks like shit.
Like, I mean, I guess I feel like that worked for
Despicable Me
because like it like looks sinister to have a super tall chair. Like, it just looks like something a supervillain would own. But then you have,
I think what
like,
we've all realized
movie,
now is that
like,
it's not actually an art design. It's artistic choice. It's just them being lazy for the sake of having lower budgets, because they...
I would not be surprised if they actually reused animation assets from one movie to the next.
Let me do a comparison here. So, Minions 2015. I'm gonna look this up. Okay, Minions, the film, cost $74 million to make. Let's look at the other Illumination Entertainment films. Despicable Me cost $69 million. Hop cost $63, $70, $76, $74, $75, $80. There you go. Dr. Seuss's The Grinch. It doesn't say, but I would expect it to cost less than $100 million. Let's look up. Pick an animated film from not Illumination Entertainment, just for fun.
Inside Out by Pixar.
Inside Out, Pixar.
I actually haven't seen that one.
Inside Out.
I think I just grew out of
That movie
Pixar movies.
had a budget of $175 million.
Okay.
That's what it is. They spend like $100 million or $150 million less than the competition does, just so they can save money and make better products.
Because ultimately, like, they know kids are just gonna get herded into these things by the pantheon by their parents. And they don't really have to work that hard.
Exactly. So let's look up How to Train Your Dragon 2. To me, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is the gold standard of what CGI animated films can look like. Like, How to Train Your Dragon 2 looks fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's so gorgeous. That movie cost $145 million. That's pretty reasonable, I would say, for an animated film, especially a CG animated film. And that has, like, art design and an aesthetic, and, like, you look at it and you think, this is beautiful. And then you look at The Grinch and you think, I can see the cynicism leaping off of the screen.
I can see how little they actually cared.
Exactly, and that's what I mean, I don't like a lot of the new DreamWorks movies or the new Disney movies, but at least I can respect them for looking good. I mean, have you seen Zootopia? That looks incredible.
Oh yeah, I saw like the first 30 minutes of it.
But like, the city, the environment they created is just incredible. It looks... It's such a, like, a fully developed world, but with DreamWorks, it's just shitty. I hate it. Thanks.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
So anyway, what you're saying is the animation industry is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Because no one cares about entertaining people anymore. They just, like, crap out whatever product, and they know kids are gonna...
Kids movies, and animated movies specifically, are so heavily commercialized that it leads to the detriment of the art. Like, I get it, you have to make money. But not... I have to make money to the point where the art is completely gone.
Well, I guess there's also just like this cynical like line of thinking.
Well,
that's
also
they
have to make sure that you can have the commercial tie-ins, the companies that support this movie. You have to have the toys that come out of it. So
well, beyond that, I feel like people don't trust kids anymore. They don't think they're very smart like they used to. They don't. I don't think so. They don't give them something that's like well written and nuanced and balanced. It's got to be like the most dumbed down dumb thing ever.
No,
that
those
like
things
a 3-year-old
happen. It's just that when they do, they don't make a lot of money.
Yeah, like Kubo and the Two Strings. Wasn't
exactly.
that like a really smart, really beautifully animated movie?
I won't say it's smart, but it is amazingly gorgeous. It's probably the best looking animated film I've ever seen.
What's a smart kids movie that just like does not think kids are idiots at all and as such suffered the consequences?
I don't know. It's hard to think of it. So this is why the only animated films that I really like, that I'm really interested in these days, are the stop motion ones. Like Leica, the studio behind Coraline, and Kubo and the Two Strings is coming out with its next movie. I forget what it's called. Maybe like Hidden World or something. And then
hey, for you 3 podcast listeners, sound off in the comments if you think there's an animated film that was a little bit like a little bit smarter than most of the rest, and kind of like gave kids the benefit of the doubt, and as such was harder to market because it wasn't stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's some in recent memory. It's not 100% all of animated
Well, it's also
movies.
that like so few companies own the majority of the kids market these days. It's 2 companies that basically own all kids movies. It's Universal Pictures and Disney, because Universal owns DreamWorks Animation and Illumination Entertainment, and Disney owns Pixar, Disney Animation, and with the purchase of Fox, they're going to own Blue Sky Studios too, and they own Disney Toon Animation as well. So they're basically 2 companies now. Now there's Sony Pictures Animation, but except for when they make Spider-Man animated movies, nobody gives a shit about that.
I'm hoping that Spider-Verse doesn't suck.
Although there is some hope, because I think that stop-motion movies are cool, because there's a new Leica movie. Plus there's Aardman. Aardman in the UK who made Wallace and Gromit. They actually make pretty consistent work these days, because they make movies for the European market and the British market. They're a really established brand over there, so they make good movies because they don't work with Hollywood anymore. They have a French company that they co-finance stuff with now.
I have a question.
So basically what you have to do to make good kids movies is don't make them in Hollywood.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because, like...
If you want to make smart movies at all, just don't make them in Hollywood.
You remember Paddington, right? Well, Paddington is like a really, really heavily reviewed, very good reviewed kids movie series.
I haven't heard of it.
Movies
I looked at it
and
then
in the
assumed
UK.
It was going to be another one of those, like, dumbass live-action animation hybrid movies.
Paddington 2 has the highest Rotten Tomatoes score in Rotten Tomatoes history.
Wow. I thought it like just based on like the premise in the trailer, I was expecting like Yogi Bear or fucking Hop.
Well, it's not made by an American, so it's not going to be Yogi Bear.
Okay.
And that's why so there also I wanted to finish this off by saying one last thing. I'm actually kind of excited for Netflix's animated kids movies because there's going to be 2 animated movies made by Netflix that I'm really excited about. They're both stop motion.
Oh, stop motion.
One of them is going to be co-directed by Taika Waititi. And it's about Michael Jackson's monkey.
What?
Doesn't that sound really cool?
Okay, my question is, did we ever find... I could be forgetting. I have 2 questions now about totally different things.
And
did we ever find definitive proof posthumously that Michael Jackson was into some bad things? Because I feel like that could potentially throw a wrench in production and get some people upset. I remember I heard somewhere, and I don't know if this is true, but I think they found some weird stuff on his computer.
I don't think so. That's probably not true.
That might have been a rumor. Okay.
Okay, so the other movie, animated stop motion movie that they're making is an animated stop motion musical co-directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Ooh.
Set in fascist Italy in the 1930s.
Wow, he really likes like settings like that.
Well, I think art imitates life. So
yeah.
Enough about that. But
anyway,
it will be it's his version of Pinocchio, but like
ooh.
darker and like more realistic than
Hellboy Pinocchio.
Doesn't that sound so cool?
Yeah, that sounds rad. I'm down.
I know.
Now my other question is,
and then there's
I want your personal opinion on this.
Oh, there's also I'm gonna look it up. Henry Selick. I think the guy who directed Coraline.
Yeah.
I think he might be doing a new movie with Netflix. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, but I have a question for you.
Yes,
and I want
here
your
it is.
Personal opinion because I feel
he's developing Wendell and Wild, a new stop-motion feature with Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key. So Key and Peele are in a stop-motion animated movie by the guy who made Coraline.
Shit, all right, that's a weird pairing, but okay. But all right, so I gotta ask, do you think? And I know you probably haven't been paying attention to it because Spider-Man's stupid or whatever. But Into the Spider-Verse, do you think the action scenes are going to be like somewhat violent? Do you think someone's going to actually throw a punch and it'll connect with someone else?
I think.
Or do you think it'll all be played off as like slapstick, just tying each other up with webs?
Well, because it's a cartoon, you can get away with things that you couldn't in live action.
Which is why I think like Spectacular Spider-Man, the animated show, was able to get through a lot of.
Plus,
there was some violence in that.
Plus, it's from Phil Lord and Chris Miller, so it should give it some faith.
All right,
I'll give it some credit. I mean, I think the art style alone is just wonderful.
Oh, in Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it looks awesome. Like, it's like the first superhero movie in like a couple years now that actually is like going for something a little bit risky in terms of its visuals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
my complaint with CG animated movies is not that like CG is an inherently bad thing, but more often than not, people just make it because it's what everybody makes animated movies in these days.
Like it's just the default format.
They don't. It's like the Times New Roman of animation.
yeah, that's.
They always have like these standard default settings that they use, and they never try something new or innovate or do something a little bit different. So all animated movies, especially the Illumination Entertainment ones, all look the exact fucking same.
Actually, that reminds me. I actually saw a trailer for an animated series yesterday that was like funded on Kickstarter. Let me pull it up so I could show you. It's entirely done with marionettes and puppets and like what is it called? It's like by the guy who made like Thunderbirds or something. Except I think he's dead. Of this. I saw it as an advertisement. It was like this. I was just clicking through videos yesterday and saw this like really weird looking thumbnail. It was kind of giving me this uncanny valley effect. But then when I like looked through it, I realized that it was actually pretty cool. It was called like Firewatch or something. Fire something. No, oh man, cut this out. Us Googling something that I don't remember the title of.
I'm just sitting here enjoying the silence of...
No, I have to find it because I wanted to recommend it to you. You reminded me of it and I saw it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's okay. So it's by the guy who made Thunderbirds, which is this like entirely marionette kind of show. Like it's all just puppets. And there's this new series that I guess is like kind of inspired by it. Like the original creator passed away, I think, and like it's just kind of like here's what his vision would have been had he been able to finish it off. And they just like had a whole Kickstarter thing for it.
Mm-hmm.
Stop judging me.
What?
You're judging me, I can hear it. Firestorm, that's what it is. Gary Anderson's Firestorm.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you a fucking clip of it and you're gonna watch it. You're gonna watch this puppet show. You stupid, you nerd.
What? Speaking of puppets, are you excited for the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, the TV show?
I've actually never seen the original series, so not really.
Oh, I love the original series. They're so cool.
Is it just like... I've heard it's just really scary and weird and full of like some subliminal messages about some kind of like sinister undertone.
Well, it's like if David Lynch or what is it? Not David Lynch. David Lynch might be right.
I think you're thinking of David Lynch.
Yeah, so it's if David Lynch directed Sesame Street.
That sounds fucking terrifying.
Exactly. That's why it's cool.
Man, fuck Happy Town Murders or whatever.
Happy Time.
Happy Time. Ugh. Blech.
I don't know. Puppets aren't my thing, but that looks kind of fun.
Happy Time Murders looks awful. Like, it looks like their one joke was, hey, it's a cutesy looking Sesame Street puppet, but it's doing something adult. Oh no, a Sesame Street puppet wouldn't ejaculate all over a wall. Oh no, a Sesame Street puppet wouldn't shoot someone else's head off.
The Happy Time Murders makes so much more sense when you realize it was a script that was written in the mid 2000s and then it was shelved for 10 years and then a movie studio that's, hungry for actual movies picked it up because all the majors didn't want it.
Yeah, maybe there's a reason it wasn't getting picked up, guys.
Nah, that's fucking crazy.
Maybe it's just like, maybe it's the fact that it sucks.
No.
You know what? With the rare exceptions, I've kind of started to enter the belief that if a script doesn't get picked up and made into something, it's probably because it's trash.
There's two reasons for why. There's two reasons for why a script is shelved.
Like, I know there's also, like, executive incompetence.
There's usually,
like, this isn't marketable.
There's either a script is so bad that nobody wants to make it, or there's a particular executive doesn't like a project for some weird reason.
And then, like, blacklists it. And it's like, don't ever make this, because I'm mad.
It's a passion project of a director, but the people don't want to make it because it's too risky. There's that, too.
Yeah. That's I guess that's the three of them. So
it's like how
when you hear that the script for a movie was written like 25 years ago and then didn't get made until now, be skeptical.
It can be good, but it's only of one of three possible outcomes.
Yeah. What's another movie that like the script wasn't meant to come out, but then it did anyway? I think
well,
The Passengers. Remember that?
Well, it's what it
was on like that
Blacklist, where it's the Blacklist is like
just like scripts that haven't been made, and then they auction it off, right?
That is published by like one of the talent agencies of like the best scripts of a particular year that haven't been picked up for production. And so then it's like a second chance for this movie to get produced because if somebody skipped over it the first time, maybe it's a second look to get it into the right agent's hands. But with Passengers, the problem with that movie is not the script, it's the direction. Because Passengers is a movie about a guy who wakes up a woman without her consent and tries to have a relationship with her while they are trapped on an a colony ship that's going across space. Because he was woken up accidentally in the middle of the journey, and he's really alone and isolated. But the problem is the direction, and part of that is the casting, because Chris Pratt is too much of a nice guy to play somebody who would do something that horrible to someone.
So they got this really likable, charismatic actor to play a piece of shit.
Exactly.
And it just throws a wrench in the whole movie, because then you're like not sure how to feel about him.
It's just that like Chris Pratt isn't enough of a nuanced actor to pull off the negative and the positive. He's a Harrison Ford type. He can play him, and that's about it. And he's good at that. We like him for that. But he's not the
he's really charismatic as him.
He's not the nuanced actor that you wanted for that role. And the other bit is the direction, because the direction the movie is played very straight, and it's played like a romance, like an epic romance movie like Titanic in space. But the whole point is that he did a oops exactly.
and is an asshole.
They don't pull off both the romance and the dark side of it effectively.
So like it's like a weird romance movie where it's like you should fall in love with someone even though they're a scumbag.
Basically, the way I would put Passengers, it's if somebody who wasn't Paul Verhoeven directed Starship Troopers.
Oh, where they just totally missed. Oh, that sounds bad.
Exactly. Passengers is a gorgeous-looking movie, and Jennifer Lawrence is actually really good in it. She's the best part of the movie. She was perfect casting. A hot take is that that movie was not her fault.
I didn't say it was.
Well, I mean, people like to shit on Jennifer Lawrence these days, but it was not her fault.
I absolutely do, but like
she's a wonderful actress. She's very talented, and I'm
not gonna pin that on her.
She did the best that she could with the material she was given with Passengers, and she earned a very substantial paycheck off of it.
You know who I feel bad for?
Who?
Like they're just like it's someone who I feel so bad for them that I actually sometimes actively go, man. I wasn't even thinking about him 5 minutes ago, nor did I have a reason to. But I really hope this guy in Hollywood is okay. Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christensen's doing
that
fine.
Poor man. That poor man. Mm-hmm. You know what? I think there's a pattern that not a lot of people talk about. Is how everyone who's ever played Darth Vader gets fucked over in some horrible way. Except for James Earl Jones, I guess.
Well, James Earl Jones has been fucked over too because his thing is that they refuse him to pay residuals for Return of the Jedi because they claim it still hasn't made a profit.
It's been out for like 40 years.
And it's one of the most successful movies of all time.
And it didn't make a profit?
Well, this is what's called creative Hollywood accounting.
Oh. That's stupid.
Exactly. Then again...
but then also, like, you hear, like, what's his name? Something Lloyd?
Jake Lloyd. Yeah, I feel bad for him.
Jake Lloyd, yeah. I actually know someone who's Jake Lloyd's cousin. I have a friend of mine. She's Jake Lloyd's cousin, and she says she didn't know that until like way later in her life, and then she met him at like some kind of family gathering, and was specifically told by other family members, don't bring up Star Wars around him. Don't ask about his acting career. Don't talk about any of that. Just like leave him alone because it'll bring back a lot of bad memories and it'll piss him off. And she told me that like, yeah, he's kind of a grumpy asshole, and it's like, well, we know why, so you can't really fault him for it. But they had like one conversation, and he was just kind of a dick. So, but yeah, so Jake Lloyd, for those who don't know, is young Anakin Skywalker, and was like harassed and bullied for his entire life after being young Anakin. Just because, like, everyone on the planet knew what he looked like, so every time they saw this little boy, they would just, like, fucking either make jokes or just, like, crowd him. And, like, he has, like, this fear of cameras now.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what happened with Dave Prowse? I know they did a whole documentary called I Am Your Father on Netflix. It's just about how Dave Prowse, the guy just wearing the Darth Vader suit because he was this big bodybuilder, just kept getting fucked over by George Lucas like every couple of weeks.
I don't know.
So anyway, don't play Darth Vader, kids. It's bad for you. Because George Lucas apparently hates whoever wears that costume.
Now, let's see.
I have a suspicion that because Darth Vader is the villain, George Lucas is far too attached to the material of the franchise, and then develops an irrational hatred of whoever plays Darth Vader.
Good canon to me.
Because he's just a crazy person. Well, anyway, do you think that's about good for a podcast?
Should be.
A poodkist?
Poodkist. Blah-de-da-de-da-de-da-de-da-de-da.
Littly doodly doodly da.
Bye.
Bye. Clickety clack.